Come on in, take a seat. Why don't you grab a pen and paper?
Sure.
Okay. And what I'm gonna have you do is write a letter to your son that you're gonna give to him when he turns 18. I want you to write a letter to your daughter.
Okay.
For when she turns 18.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, son's only 4 years old, so this will be interesting.
Dear Olivia.
Dear Mason,
You won't read this letter for 6 years, and a lot could change between now and then.
Hopefully, you've learned by now that it's important to put on clothes before you go outside.
Maybe you've learned that vegetables are your friends.
I sincerely hope that all of the dabbing has finally stopped.
And also that it's pronounced mac and cheese, not monkey cheese. Mac and cheese.
You dream of becoming a famous singer. So thank you in advance for all the free concert tickets.
Is it still your goal to be a professional YouTuber?
I know you were hoping to become a giraffe when you grew up, but hopefully you have some even better career options now.
It hasn't always been easy. I sat on a piece of gum you left on a chair yesterday and didn't find out until after work.
The dishes really do go in the dishwasher. It's not like a metaphor or something.
Remember when you cut your own hair, and then you tried to fix it?
Basically, I didn't sleep for 3 years straight.
But I can tell you this. Despite all the struggles, all the tears, it was completely worth it. And I would do it again, 100 times over for you.
You are a gift and a blessing. You've changed my life.
You are beautiful and strong.
You have so much energy in life, and I can already see how incredibly smart and fearless you are.
More than anything, I want you to know that I love you.
I'm here for you, whatever you need.
You have made me so proud.
And I am excited to see how God uses your life.
You're ready to take on the world. With all my heart.
Love always, Dad.
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 That was a great video. Good morning, everyone, and happy Father's Day to all the dads here. And we're going to have a good time today. I decided before first service, I said, I'd like to speak in the dark. Every so often I like to do that, as you regulars know that. And I want to do it today, keep it focused. I want to say two things before we get into today's message. First off, we have our Royal Family Kids Camp coming up that we're a part of with multiple churches. And they're still in need of 3 female counselors, 3 male counselors, adults, because without them, there's children on the way, foster kids on the waiting list to go to this camp, and they just can't go unless we have those counselors at that camp. And that's from July 14th and 19th, and you can get information at the Connect Center about going there and helping out. The other thing I'd like to say is many of you took the paperwork information for the backpacks for the kindergartners going into kindergarten, and they're underprivileged kids. We need those backpacks back like right now, and some of you took them for college age people, foster kids, stuff like that. We need those back now. Fill those up, bring them back in, please, because that really blesses them. You took the papers, please bring them back. So I trust you will. My name is Jim Del Campo. For those of you visiting here for the first time, if you're watching online, Dad, because it's Dad's Day and you didn't want to get up, God bless you. Okay to that one. I don't have that option, but God bless you, all right? But no, I love being in church. Today I want to talk, we did on Mother's Day, and we decided through this whole series that we weren't going to do a specific Mother's Day message or a Father's Day message, that we wanted to keep in line with the series Us, and so that's what we're doing. And today I'm doing that same thing, and you'll see as we go along, it does speak to men, but it speaks to everyone, as you see. Today I want to talk on changing the script, and I think I shared with you a couple weeks ago, I use this as an illustration, but not the full impact or this part of it, that have you ever been watching, you go to the movies, if you go to Crossings dos Lagos, wherever you go, or East Vale, or over at I think it's a UA Cinema, whatever that thing is, over at Galleria. Have you ever watched a movie and you felt like about an hour in, I wish I could go back and get my $12 back? right? Or if you matinee, you get your $7 back or $9. Or if you're a senior at Dos Lagos, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, or senior anytime, $5-6 back. It's a great deal, but you don't want to get old fast. Okay, all right. But the other thing I'd like to say this is, yeah, there's been times I feel like, man, I'd like to get my money back on that one. But the other thing I think about when the movie's just that bad, here's what I think. I think, if this thing cost $50 million to make, why didn't they just give me the money and just forget about making the movie? Because it's a terrible movie. Have anybody ever thought that before? Am I the only one that thinks that way? Okay, I'm the only one. Because I'm thinking, you think that way? God bless you, bro. Amen. You're going to heaven. But I think to myself, I could do so much good with this money. One, I could pay out the church. I could support more missionaries. We could plant churches. I could help so many people that need help. We could do so much with that money. And you put $50 million into a film that nobody wants to see. And I think, man, terrible script, terrible film. Let me tell you, $50 million on a script. But every one of us in this room, we live out scripts within our relationships. Do we not? Every one of us. Now, we've learned these scripts growing up in our family of origin, and some parts of our script are dynamically great. Some parts of our script, they're pretty good. Other parts of the script, the way we relate to each other and to people and to our spouse, etc., well, it's not so good, and we think, I think I need to change that part of the script. Anybody say amen to that one right there? Nobody says amen to that one right there. Okay. Now, so today I want to dive into this whole idea of a script, and I'm going to speak specifically in this last message in this series, Us. And I can't believe we're in the 8th and final week of this series. That's a quick 8 weeks, wasn't it? Now, so we're going to talk about specifically marriages now. I've been waiting this whole time just for this message, for this spot right here. And it will work if you're in a relationship, romantic relationship, you're engaged, whatever, it'll work. And I will also say, if you're a single person and you want to get married one day, listen closely what I'm going to tell you, very closely. I will also say, if you've gone through a divorce or separation, listen closely what I'm going to tell you, because what I'm going to tell you is something that is not new. It's something that counselors counsel, and they write books about. Most of what I've learned about what I'm going to share today, I've learned out of books, out of bad trial and error in my own married life and situations. It's part of the aftermath of the fall of man, of Adam and Eve. I think it's kind of funny what we're going to talk about today. Personally, it wasn't funny the first 6 years of my marriage, I'll tell you that much. But it's funny after you start to see it, start to work on it. I think I'm about 60% better in these areas. But it's also just a part of, when it comes to men and women, just like, it's just who we are and how we're geared, that we are different. Now, I know the culture out there is trying to push so hard that we're exactly the same. Just stand a man and a woman naked in front of a mirror, and if you can't see differences, I don't know what to tell you, my friend. Any amens on that one now? Okay, God bless you. Okay, so I really want to delve into this thing right here. And we're just geared a certain way. It's Father's Day, and I want to bless dads, and I never want to speak down to men, anything like that. But we're going to talk about today, because I'm always going to lift up men, and because I want the men to come back. I want dads to come back. I want you to feel like, well, Jim's on my side, and you women, and I'm on your side too. Okay, so I'm not negating anybody. Here's what I'm going to talk about today. And as I go along, I'll explain more and more. The emotionally eager wife and the evasive, distant husband. Let me say it again. The emotionally eager wife and the evasive, distant husband. Now, what I mean by that is, and very quickly, and I'll get into it. The wife, most wives, and I'm talking 90% of the time for women, 90% of the time for men, 10% flips sometimes. But the wives really want communication. They want that emotional connection. Would anyone say amen to that one? Easy over here. And the men, we're more like, we kind of can shut down our emotions and be very stoic and keep us locked inside. Would any women say amen to that one? Amen. Easy over there. And so it's Father's Day. I'm not picking on men. I'm going to try to make you understand, men, that since it's Father's Day, look, ladies, I know you like The Notebook and every other movie like that. I get it, okay? My wife likes them too. But on Father's Day, I'd rather watch like a John Wick marathon. Any men say amen to that one? And then maybe insert gladiator between 2 and 3 of, right? Am I right on that? And then, and there's nothing wrong with me whatsoever. And you say, well, Jim, you sound like you're against women. I'm not against women. I love women, okay? I think women are beautiful. I'm glad God made women. I'm glad God made women with curves. I'm glad all about women, okay? I'm really glad. I married a woman and I love that woman. So I like women. And I like Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman. I'm okay with women being the heroine, okay? But let me give you a sore spot in my life. You want to hear a sore spot in my life? I'll bet you do, don't you? But I really have a problem. I got many problems, but culturally I have a few problems. Here's one of them. I'm fine with the woman being the heroine, but I do not like, in fact, I could almost say I despise when I watch in a film and they make a man the bumbling fool or idiot in the movie. Anybody with me on that one right there? It really upsets me. Oh man, I don't like that because it's the weakening of men in America. And I believe it's systematically demonic, to be honest with you. And I believe there's this feminization of men going on and the way they're presented it. And I think a man needs to be a man. Any men say amen to that one, right? How many women? I like that too, right there. Right? Yeah, right? I like that. I'm okay with women being the heroine. We got Deborah, man, in the Bible. She led the armies of Israel in the Old Testament. That woman's like Wonder Woman in real life, all right? So we're going to talk about the eager wife and the evasive, distant husband, and I'm going to try to make it fun and interesting, and maybe you're going to go, oh, that's why this. Now, let me say this before I forget, that if you've been married a long, long time, like maybe 10 months, if you've been married like decades, you have probably, not everybody maybe, but you probably worked through or are working through a lot of what I'm going to talk about today, and maybe you never even realized it, but when I talk today, you're going to say, yeah, we've had to work on those things and to make a successful marriage. And so I congratulate you that your marriage has lasted and you've worked on things. I can just tell you from my experience, when I got married, I knew none of this stuff, all right? And I personally just did everything wrong. And so here we go. We're going to read our verse that we do every week. And this is the last time we'll do these verses. We're going to start a new series. Matthew 11:28. And it says, would you read these with me? Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. I like that a lot. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble heart. You will find rest for your soul. And that's been the key. We want to find inner rest in our soul as we deal with these issues. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And so today I want to lighten up the load and ease up the load when it comes to marriage, because marriage, it's work, but it shouldn't be an overwhelming work, right? I think it should be a lot more fun than it is a heavy load of work. Anybody ever get tired of the next dead serious conversation we need to have in marriage? Any men get tired of that? There's 3 gutsy men out there, okay. The rest of you, so what we've been doing, we're addressing the mess, and every week I tell you, if I fix me, I fix us. That's right. So it's a personal responsibility series. Fix myself, I fix us. Now, I read this story years ago. This kind of gives you a little bit of a template of what I'm talking about today. I read this story years ago. I haven't shared it in probably 20 some years, but I always thought it was funny. But it shows you the differences. There's this couple, they're married, and they have their first child. And so they got the crib set up, and the baby's in there, and it's just babies in diapers. And one night the husband just standing there looking at that baby in that crib. And the wife's doing stuff, and she walks by in the hallway, and she sees her husband staring over that crib, looking at their newborn child. And she sees her husband staring, and she's like, he's looking at it. And she walks in there because she's so touched that her husband's standing there looking over the crib. And she puts her arm around him, and there's a tear coming out of her eye, and she looks at him and she says, penny for your thoughts. Meaning, what are you feeling? What are you thinking right now? And he looks at her and he says, I was just wondering, how in the world they make such a sturdy crib for $119? And that's really the difference between men and women, is it not? I mean, women are all emotional related, and we're just really practical, like Mr. Spock, but it's just the way we are. It's just the way we're geared. So there are differences. So I'm going to make some statements right now. 2 truths. Don't get mad at me on these, all right? You can write a letter to somebody else on these things. But the first truth I want to tell you in this is men do not go deeper because most of us are just not interested. Any men like me say amen? Or somebody said, preach it, praise the Lord. It's good. You're saying preach it to a preacher is like saying sick him to a bulldog, but that's another story. Let me tell you we just not, it doesn't mean we're bad or wrong. It just means we're guys, okay? 90% of us, Yaskas, go deeper, go where deeper, But we are men, are we not more solution oriented? Are we not? Where women, you want to more talk about things. You enjoy the process of dialoguing. And I always, I share this story whenever I'm counseling a married couple and they're having struggles. I go, this is the best illustration I have to illustrate men and women, the difference when it comes to this stuff. If you and a friend of yours, another lady friend of yours, were driving up the 5 freeway up Center, California, just you two going to Sacramento, I guarantee you, all the way there, you'd be like, you just be talking. And look, there's cows over there. And what kind of trees are those? And your conversation's all over the place. And somehow you make it connect again somewhere, right? But if you guys, 90% of us, if one of us was driving with a friend of ours, another guy friend up to Center, California, we could put on, Best of Creedence Clearwater Revival or something like that, drive up all the way, and we could go 2.5 hours, 3 hours without even saying a word to each other. And we would never even think, is he mad at me? Am I right? We would never, I would never even think that, Bill, I'll use you. I go, is Bill mad at me? I would never even think that. No, see, because here's what typically happens. And, wife, you're pouring out your heart to your husband and talking. He's Mr. Spock, and live long and prosper. But anyway, you're pouring out your heart to this guy, and and he listens, and all of a sudden and then he gives you the solution and the answer to your problem, doesn't he? And then he goes, now, what's on ESPN and what time's dinner? Am I right? Easy, lady, okay? Doesn't make your husband bad or wrong. It just makes him a guy. We're more solution-oriented. Ladies, you like to dialogue and talk and this and that. But guys, ladies, it doesn't make us bad. We're just not interested in emotional connections. It's just the way we are, okay? Now, are we settled on that one? Nobody's going to write me a letter yet. Okay, here we go, number 2. Okay, truth number 2, because these go against culture. But women experience emotions and feelings more intensely than men. Notice I didn't say that men do not experience emotions and feelings. It's just that women, you experience more intensely. Look, guys, we say, yes, guy, what are you feeling? Feeling? What are you talking about? Feel? Well, guys would say, I don't have any emotion or feeling. Listen, you ever get angry? Yeah. You ever get irritable? Yeah. You ever get impatient? Yeah. Those are emotions and feelings, all right? Everybody has emotions and feelings. It's just that women experience them more intensely. Look, when a guy experiences these things, he wants to stuff them down. Right, guys? When a woman experiences it, she wants to throw them up. Am I right, ladies? Am I right? I'm not insulting it, am I? Right. So you want to get rid of, you want to die, you want to talk it out. And here's where the problems, these emotional, relational issues come into play in any marriage or any relationship that's growing in men and women like that. Now, it goes down to the script. Now, listen, this is 90% of women, 90% of men. There's 10% this will not fit. It flips. So what happens when this is going on, and this is what I've counseled for 30-some years, I saw it in my own life. For 6 years in my marriage, it was trouble the first 6 years because I didn't understand this. Nobody showed me the way. Nobody explained to me. I didn't even know anything about it. And I'd come home every so often, Olivia would be sitting on the bed with the tissue box there, tears coming down the eyes, and I knew once again, because we had the conversation many times before, I'm an idiot. Because I didn't know how to connect with my wife at all. So what happens is this. The eager wife, she wants to connect emotionally. And the evasive husband, he wants to shut down emotionally. And then so, because she believes that her marriage, this relationship, it's not going to get better because for her, and never forget this statement, for the man, if we're not talking about the relationship, everything's great. For the woman, if we're not talking about the relationship, everything's bad. Is that right? Very few of you said, yeah, I'm not sure I know anything. Okay. So she wants to connect with you. My wife wants to connect with me. And if I get more evasive, which I was really shut down, I wasn't going to share. I wasn't going to share what's going on in my head. And sometimes our wives wonder, is there anything in there? If they could look inside, it'd be cuckoo, 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 or something like that. And so she gets more intense, and she digs more, and she digs more, and she digs more, because she wants to dialogue. She wants to tell what's going on inside this husband, this guy of mine. And so she pushes. Here's what a wife is like, and not all of them, and I'm not trying to paint a bad picture. Your wife is like, she's in a rowboat rowing, and you're on an island. And she's rowing around the island. She's looking for a place to land. Is there an opening where we can dialogue and talk? And everywhere she tries to land, boom, you close the harbor. And that's really how it works. Eager wife, evasive husband. And the more she pushes, and the more we sit down, and the more she pushes the dialogue talk, the more she sits down. And pretty soon, it gets more intense, doesn't it? Pretty soon, it get ugly sometimes, doesn't it? And pretty soon now, there's these one-line jabs coming, bang, bang, at each other. Doesn't it happen that way? She might even start crying. And then she might even go to her girlfriend and say, my husband, boom, 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 boom. And by the way, don't use your life group to do stuff like that. Use a counselor to talk these things in. And so the $50 million script is in concrete, and it's failing. And you sit there and you wonder to yourself, how did it get to this point? Can I tell you one more thing about men? Okay, no, you don't want to know. I'll go and move on. Okay, you want to know, right? Okay. Ladies, this doesn't make us bad. Everything doesn't make us bad. Just makes us who we are. When your guy was dating you, and he was like on the hunt. He's got his spear in his hand. He's on the hunt, right, guys? And man, when you're on the hunt, you'll use whatever bait you can to lure them in. You'll dialogue and talk about the future and this and that. You share your emotions, feeling. Then you get the ring on the finger, and because you now won. She's caught in a trap. And now you won. So now you move on to your next thing, work, career to conquer, whatever. And that's the way guys really feel in me. Not all of them. I'm not saying all. Just don't write me a card. But that's what. So then we get in this problem now. She wants to dialogue, shut down. She wants to dialogue, you shut down. And she pushes harder, you back off. And you might even give her the cold shoulder. You might even develop a hobby outside of the house to not have to come home on time, so you don't have to face, dialogue. And now it's a problem. So what do we do? What in the world do we do? Well, got to change the script. And did you know the scriptures and some great books out there on this topic? And let me read. We're going to read, and I know you can't read in the dark. It'll be up on the screen. Let me read what God says about this, because he's got some great answers to this situation. So Ephesians chapter 5, it's kind of one of the marriage, husbands and wives chapters. I'm going to pick up in verse 25, and I'm going to read to verse 33. Now watch this. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church. That's a huge statement. And gave himself up for her, so that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word. Another big statement. That he might present to himself the church in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she would be holy and blameless. Now he's comparing the church, Jesus' relationship to the church, with the husband's relationship to the wife. Verse 20. So husbands ought also to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his own wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ also does the church. Because we are members of his body. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother, and shall be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Let me just make one sidebar comment on that verse. When you get married, if you're newlywed, or if you ladies never say, well, my mom and dad think that we should. You tell that to your husband, that's the first thing you tell your husband. Because you have your own life now, right? But I'm going to flip the script, bro. And guys, when you're married, don't come home and say, my mom was telling me she thinks we should. And your wife's going, what? What'd you say? And she might even say something about your mom, and you're going to say, don't talk about my mama. Oh, I hit the right side of the script again, I guess. So be careful with stuff like this. That's a potent verse right there. Now, it doesn't mean your parents can't give you advice, but don't come in now and say, my mommy and daddy think. Don't say that. Verse 32. You know how I turn into a southern preacher when I do stuff like that? Isn't that weird? Verse 32. This mystery is great, but I am speaking with reference to Christ and the church. Now watch this. Nevertheless, each individual among you also is to love his own wife, even as himself. And then it has this for the wife. This is the only thing it says for the wife. And the wife must see to it that she respects her husband. That's all it says. Now, in these verses here, you see there are two overarching truths that we need to live by if we're going to fix the script of the eager wife and the evasive husband. And the first thing is this. It says, husbands, love your wives. That's the first thing it says. Number one, you notice, if you can see it, husbands, love your wives. Now, some man, husband in this room, is thinking this, oh, you mean sex? And you're looking at me like, peace, brother. Thank you, preacher. No, that's not what it's talking about. I mean, it might be an offshoot of it, but it's talking about relationship. You know, this is the hard part for me as a guy. Opening up and letting Olivia know what's going on in my heart. That's not an easy thing. It took forever to start doing those things. Let me tell you something. When I got married, never in a million years would I've ever thought that I had to actually communicate with my wife on somewhat of a deeper level. I never thought that. I didn't know that, that was a smart thing to do. I never, ever even understood. No one ever taught me that if I didn't do some of that, and by the way, let me just not unlevel the playing field. Look, ladies, 90% of the husbands in here, I'm in the 90%, we will never, ever, ever, never, ever be as good as you are at communication. It's not going to happen. Don't expect us to. How many men love me now, right? But let me tell you something, men. If you don't communicate with your wife, and I learned these things the hard way, that your wife's going to interpret that. And the interpretation is, you don't love me. You don't talk to me. And then when you don't talk to your wife, then what happens is, and I'll just call it this, it's the where do I stand syndrome. Your wife's going to wonder in the relationship, where do I stand with you? Do you love me? You don't talk to me. Where do I stand? And for a woman to wonder where she stands with her man, oh, that's bad. It really hurts. It really hurts. Ladies, let me say again, your husband will never, ever, ever, ever be as good as you, not even close to as good as you in communication. Not going to happen. But guys, we can get a little better. Because you never want your wife to wonder, where do I stand? Because if there's years of that, and I'm not stating this as this is something to do, but I know because I wasn't always a Christian, and I know the way men think. That if your wife wonders where she stands with you after so many years, there are men out there in this culture. And they are freaks and fools and idiots because they've learned and their priority is they'll read your emotions. And that's what they're predators, and they'll read your emotions, ladies, and they'll pick up on if you're frustrated at home. They'll pick up on if you are just sad in your relationship. They'll pick up on it. And they'll use that against you. They'll play it up good. They don't care about you. They just want to use you. But husbands, listen. If you and I communicate and be part of this relationship, your wife will never be susceptible to some freak, fake, immoral Casanova, okay? You never be susceptible to that. Because why should she when she's got a real Casanova at home? Even though you've got Dunlop's disease, your belly's out like that now. She'll think that's sexy, all right? Because they think communication is sexy. You think going to the gym makes you sexy. No, they don't. Not many. Most women are like, no, I'd rather communicate. Some of you ladies say, no, I like a better body. Okay, the second thing though, because it's Father's Day, and I want to really focus in because I want to help the men, the husbands. And listen closely, single women, because one day you're going to be in the situation. Wives, the second thing Paul said, wives, respect your husbands. One line is all it was. All this stuff about men love your wife. Wives, respect your husbands. Let me tell you what it means. You got to rethink the way you talk to your husband. Because if you start jabbing and criticizing and condemning, and you get frustrated and you start banging, boom, boom, he's going to retreat. He's just going to retreat. He's going to shut down. And if he does open up to you, ladies, listen closely. And if he opens up his heart, gives it a little bit, don't go run into your girlfriend and say, here's what my husband shared. Don't do that. Because if he finds out you shared what he shared with you, oh, the turtle's going to go back in the shell. He's not going to come out. And never, when he shares anything with you, never, no matter how frustrated or angry you get at times, never bring it back and use it against your husband. Don't do that. Because he respects big for a husband. Respects big for a man. And man, you start disrespecting a man, oh my gosh. That's why it says, husbands, love your wives, but wives, respect your husbands. Look, as a guy, I don't care if Olivia loves me, just respect me. Any man say amen to that? You don't have to love me, just respect me enough to make dinner tonight. So ladies, sure, listen. And after the service, I'm not going to be available to anybody, okay? You guys should have come to church today over there watching at home, huh? But, ladies, don't talk down to him. Don't ridicule him. When he shares, that's for you too, right there. Let me tell you a little secret about your guy. When you start going at him, and when he shuts down, this big, bad, bold guy who's a lion outside the house, who's a lion at work, and now he turns into a lamb at home. The reason he shuts down when you're is because he doesn't want to go off on you. See, he shuts down because, and I've said this before, he's saving your life. Am I right? Guys, you put the dollar in the Coke machine and the Coke doesn't drop, what do you want to do to the machine? I'm going to kick that thing, man. I'm going to kick it till it gives me that Coke. I'm going to hit that thing. Now, I'm not suggesting physical abuse. That's a sin and one of the ugliest sins ever. But understand, your man walks away because he doesn't want to blow up. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to do that. So we shut down. Look, all I'm saying is, you married this guy, and ladies, singly, you're going to marry a guy. There are no perfect men or husbands on the planet. Ladies, you don't have, well, Olivia has one, but there are none. I waited 3 weeks to say that. It's in my notes right there. I wrote that 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I wrote this 3 weeks ago. So, but let me close it off this way. There's this preaching really is fun. There's an Old Testament Hebrew scripture story, and it's David. David is now the king. And one day he decides he wants to bring the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem because it's not been there. And Jerusalem's now the capital. It was taken captive. And now it's been in somebody's home. Their home's being blessed. David wants to bring it home to Jerusalem now, put in the tabernacle. And so he's bringing it in, and he's dancing before the Ark of God. He's having a great old time. The joy of the Lord's all over the guy. When he gets into town, there's a woman by the name of Michal. And she's looking out her window, and she sees David dancing and having a great time before the Lord, praising God. And she starts to ridicule him. She starts to disrespect him. She starts to yell at him and put him down. Now, the question is, who is Michal? Michal was his first wife. She was the one that was given to David when David killed Goliath. Her father is King Saul, who tried to kill David multiple times. Why is she so angry? Because she got word that her dad was sending troops to kill David, and she's married to him. So she said, David escaped, and she put these little false idol things under the sheets to make it look like a guy's there, and they come in, and she stalls for time for David, and David escapes. And they don't kill David. Now, ladies, here's the question. If you did that for your husband and he escaped, what would be your one expectation on your husband for him to do? Come back for you. Come back for me. David never came back. Her father, King Saul, takes her and gives her to be another man's wife. Now, ladies, how tragic would that be, huh? So now she's a very angry woman. And so when she sees David as now the king whom she rescued, and he never came back, he's coming into the city, and she's disrespecting him and disrespecting him and disrespecting him and disrespecting him. Who's right or wrong in the story? I think they're both wrong. Because David did not show love to his wife by coming back for her. And now she is disrespecting her ex-husband, verbally abusing the man, disrespecting him. Husbands, love your wives. And wives, respect your husbands. They're both wrong. We got to take responsibility for ourselves. If I fix me, I fix us. Series is officially over. Stand up with me, please. Hello, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the message. And I would just like to invite you to share that with as many people or one person that you think just might need that. Because not only do we want the Bible to be truthful, which it is, we want it to be useful. And we try to make it as practical as possible for me, for you, and for any friends that we have, especially those far from Jesus that might need that. And another thing too you can do is you can now subscribe to the New Beginnings YouTube channel so that when these messages are archived, it'll pop up and let you know it's there, and you can go back and watch that, or once again, share it with somebody else. So we just hope you have a blessed day. Once again, hope this thing ministered to you, and look forward to seeing you again soon.